every year in India, CA में 1 lakh to 1,50,000 people give CA exam. This is an examination where the passing percentage is what 5%.
How does one become top 5 in CA?
There was always a pressure. नहीं हुआ suppose. अगर rank अगर suppose fail हो गया तो society क्या बोलेगी? Auditing and law, these are two subjects which everyone hates. If you want to raise money, go for asking advice. If you want advice, go for raising money. Experiences per year is more important than years of experience.
3 exams in a row that you have been a very high achiever. Is there a pressure to deliver with KAGR? Okay guys, so आज हमारे साथ है एक CA top ranker, All India rank 6 in entrance, All India rank 5 in intermediate and All India rank 5 in advanced and ACCA global certification है CAs के लिए, उसमें global rank 3. So this was in the year Kushal, and that is Kushal Lodha, very popular content creator, and now also with his new company KAGR. So he's in startup mode right now. So Kushal, we are very excited to have you here.
Thanks Harshil. This means a lot.
LSM podcast.
Thank you so much, Harshil. Like, it means a lot. It feels like a dream come true moment to be hosted by you. I've always watched your journey, and it's truly inspiring what you have built with both Level as well as Shebang. So
thank you.
Like, very inspiring.
Thank you. I'm excited to talk to you. I've never met with a top 5 in CA. For me, it's a big moment because my dad is a CA.
Okay.
So with top 5 in CA, it will be like, I guess somewhere he would want me to be you, like. So how does one become top 5 in CA?
That's a good question to start off the conversation with. I never wanted to be like a ranker as such. What I wanted was that I always wanted to score good marks, decent marks, wanted to become a CA, and my dream was just to practice as a chartered accountant and just, like do the traditional work of taxation, auditing, and just be well settled in Nasik, which is my hometown, and just stay happy there itself. So that was the dream, or maybe that was the ambition when I was deciding whether to do CA or not. And then starting off with my entrance exam, like, I just ensured that I'll just study dedicatedly, consistently. I had switched off my mobile phone for 1 month during my entrance, 3 months during my inter, 4.5 months during my finals, just to ensure that I am eliminating all sorts of distraction.
तो बंद कर दिया मतलब कैसे?
बंद कर दिया, switch off कर दिया, and just kept it in my dad's wardrobe and did not open it for the next 4.5 months. So basically वो जो self control वाला या तो self discipline वाला जो trait आया था, I think वो CA journey की वजह से आया था. And I wanted to eliminate all sorts of distraction. I just wanted to stay focused. So if you ask me directly, how can one become a top 5 in a CA exam or beat any exam? I think it's all about how do you eliminate distractions in your life? How do you stay focused with what you're doing? And ensuring that effective study or maybe effective work is what is more important rather than the total number of hours that you study. Okay. So effective studying is something that I believed in, which is also ultimately helping me today in my day-to-day work as well. So today, like, you'll see a lot of people who are working for 12-14 hours a day, but effectively kitna output aaya, kitna kaam kiya hai, that is what is going to matter ultimately. So that is what CA curriculum taught me, and this is how I...
12-14 hour wala main hu, effective work question marks. Abhi filhal, I feel like that's the phase in life. But how does one do more effective work at the moment?
Right, that's a very good point. I think one way of looking at it is as whenever you want to do something, right, I always have this rule of productivity that I list down the tasks that I have to fulfill for the day, etc. Every task has certain number of points, in the sense that whichever is the highest priority, that will have the most number of points, etc. And then I'll ensure that, okay, jitne bhi tasks khatam ho gaye aaj, to-do list mein jo tick mark ho gaye, the total number of points should exceed a particular number, which is like 10 points in my case. And once that is done, then I'm off to sleep and I'm like, okay, today is my productive day. So that is one rule which I follow. Apart from that, I think setting artificial deadlines is something that I'm truly a big fan of. Like, let's say I'll give you a simple example. Okay, kal subah agar, like, what is the time you generally wake up every morning?
5:30.
5:30, right? So you are someone who's like, you have to wake up at 5:30 a.m. any which ways. Today, there are a lot of people who'll wake up at, let's say, 8:30, 9:30 or 10 also, like, depending on their routine, etc. But let's say if they have to catch an early morning flight the next day, despite the fact that they have been waking up at 8:30 or 9:30 a.m., they know that the next day there is an early morning flight, so they have to wake up at 4:35 in order to reach the airport by 6:37 and catch the flight at 9 o'clock. So the point of this is that your mind, if you're just telling your mind subconsciously that, okay, you have an early morning flight tomorrow, so you have to wake up at 5:30, any which ways you'll be able to wake up. A lot of people are like, कि नहीं होता है मेरे से, सुबह उठा नहीं जाता है, etc. A lot of people start giving excuses. So if you are setting artificial deadlines, or if you are setting something which your mindset is used to, that okay मेरे को तो उठना ही पड़ेगा, you have something to do at the morning, then automatically you will be able to like follow the productive routine. That is number 2. And third is, which is very simple, is that rewarding yourself, incentivizing yourself. If let's say I complete 5 tasks for a day, I'll tell myself that okay, I can play table tennis for 5 minutes more or 15 minutes more. So I have everything calendarized, by the way. So everything right from morning to evening, if you ask me, my minute by minute routine, everything is calendarized and planned. That helps me to stay focused. So if I am, let's say, able to achieve more tasks, then I'll give more time to, let's say, something that I like doing. Every day from 9:30 to 10 p.m. I'll play table tennis. I can play for 15 minutes more if in case I end up finishing more tasks. So rewarding yourself is also one of the
So
things.
gaming your life.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Planning your life and then gaming your life.
I agree. Yeah.
And
Planning
ये
and
habit
gaming.
childhood से थी आप में?
Not childhood, but if you ask me honestly, from the CA days itself, from childhood, I think I was not very organized. I was not very systematic. I was very haphazard, random kid, like the way everyone is. I was very unorganized and all. But dhire dhire, when I started getting into the CA journey, CA phase, that time I realized that okay, I have to be more disciplined, more patient, because this is an examination where the passing percentage is what, 5%. So there are around, like, every year in India, CMA, 1 lakh to 1,50,000 people give CA exams. Assuming 1,50,000 are giving and 5%, which is like 7,500 people only clear the CA exams. So I was like, यार अगर top 5% में आना है मुझे, तो कुछ ना कुछ तो करना ही पड़ेगा अलग से. And that's why I was like, let's take this challenge. And from that entire journey of 5 years of CA, that changed me completely from a person I was before CA and after CA.
So you know, ये जो deep study की बात होती है, बहुत सारे लोग जब भी हम लोग फ़ोन करते हैं, जो हमारे ऐप के यूज़र्स भी हैं उनको फ़ोन करते हैं, तो वो कहते हैं कि हमें जब भी फोकस स्टडी करनी है ना, तो इट गेट्स अ बिट डिफ़िकल्ट बिकॉज एग्जैक्टली व्हाट यू सेड, क्वालिटी ऑफ टाइम, उसमें से ज़्यादा इंफॉर्मेशन निकालो. सो हाउ डज वन एक्चुअली गेट to the space where they do focus study? Like, and what's a good metric, like what's a good marker to you that आप focus study कर रहे हो और आप वो टाइम का per unit टाइम का maximum value निकाल रहे हो? आप कैसे measure करते हो कि हाँ actually I was doing well or I wasn't doing well?
Right. इसमें again I used to follow simple rule. I firstly used to lock myself up in my room itself, and I used to ensure that okay, I just have to study now for the next couple of hours. I am, again, like you only, I am a morning riser. So in my CA finals league, my routine was 10 p.m. को sharp सो जाता था, and 5 a.m. को I used to wake up and I used to meditate for 15 minutes, and then I used to like freshen up, and then 5:30 a.m. से मेरा study cycle used to start. And trust me, that 5:30 to 8:30 वाला जो time था, the first 3 hours of morning, that was the most productive hours in my life as compared to the latter hours which were there in my study routine. The way I used to measure it was simple. I have to finish off these chapters throughout the day, and I have to ensure that okay, ये chapters मेरे को आज खत्म करने पड़ेंगे, and इसके जितने भी questions है वो मैं एक separate piece of paper पे solve कर पा रहा हूँ. If let's say I'm not able to achieve the targets, which used to happen with me almost every single day, कि अगर मैंने सोचा आज 3 chapters करने हैं, 2 chapters या 2.5 chapters ही हो गए, the next day again early morning I have to ensure कि first 1 hour या first half an hour में just finish it off and then move on to your next goals. Secondly, when I used to lock myself up in a room, I used to study in slots of 2 hours each. The only morning slot was for 3 hours because I was very efficient in the morning. But after 8:30 a.m., I used to just study in the slots of 2 hours. And 2 hours mein also, I used to apply this technique where I used to study for, let's say, 25 minutes, take a 5 minutes break, which would be not break as in I'm not consuming any content which will be distracting me for the next 1.5 hours, but just take a break, talk to my parents, go out on a walk, and just come back immediately and study for the next 25 minutes once again. So these 2-hour slots are again divided into 4 parts where you study for 25 minutes, take a nap or take a break for 5 minutes, and do it repetitively for the next 4 slots. Right. So एक 2 घंटे का slot हो गया, then you take a break for half an hour, either breakfast, lunch, dinner, going outside for a jogging track or whatever you want to do, playing cricket, etc. And then again studying for the 2-hour slot. So this was very, very productive for me. And trust me, I had followed this from June 2019 to November 2019, entire 5 months period. And that 5 months was literally as if it was very peaceful phase of my life. Like today, if you ask me, I feel very nostalgic while talking about you. Yeah. And people think it's very frustrating to study for 12 hours a day.
No, it sounds like a dream life. Yeah,
it sounds very peaceful.
It sounds very peaceful. I'm curious, you said like what's interesting for me, एक topper, rank 5, वो कहता है कि मैं उठ के मेडिटेशन करता हूँ, फिर मैं स्टडी करता हूँ. दैट्स वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग टू मी पर्सनली, मे बी बायस पार्टी, बट इट्स वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग टू मी. तो आपने मेडिटेशन क्यों चूज किया फर्स्ट प्लेस में कंबाइन करने के लिए आपके टॉप रैंकिंग जर्नी के लिए?
Sure. Again, that's a good question. I think this goes down because of my mom, honestly. So she's a very, very spiritual person and very religious person also. In fact, she's a firm believer of what you call as positive affirmations.
Right.
I'm sure you know that
Right.
because you're like doing meditation and also. She always used to write on a piece of paper, by the way, every night before she used to sleep, she used to write on a piece of paper 21 times कि कुशल का CA final में बहुत अच्छा result आने वाला है, etc. So she, whatever I wanted to achieve in my life, I used to tell her, मम्मी मुझे ये achieve करना है, and what is the best thing we can do about it. And she was so like kind, and it was like she was so used to all of this that she used to always write on a piece of paper every night कि okay ये तेरे को करना है तो तू बता दे, मैं every day ये करूँगी, and this is for you, and affirmations में believe करते. So the positive vibes, positivity was already there in me because of my mom. Now talking about meditation, she was the one who taught me the art of meditation. She taught me like several forms of meditation also, etc., where you, let's say if you're listening to something else or you're doing meditation on your own, and that really helped me in order to stay focused, and the concentration power improved significantly after I started meditating.
So when was it that you started meditating?
So I started meditation, actual meditation, if you ask me, CA finals ke leave ke time. Before that, I was like, in fact, you'll laugh at me, but I was like, I used to tell my mom, मम्मी मैं ये सब मैं believe ही नहीं करता हूँ, मैं meditation वगैरह में. But I think कि आप जो भी कर रहे हो, आपका ये old school होगा. मेरे को, मैं नए जनरेशन का हूँ, मैं Gen Z हूँ, तो मेरे को ये सब meditation वगैरह मत बोलो, मैं मेरा पढ़ाई करूँगा और पास हो जाऊँगा. But one fine day, she was like कि आज तू कर सिर्फ 15 मिनट के लिए कर. That was June 2019, just before my CA finals leave period was started. And 15 minutes, I just meditated, and I was like, this is so soothing, this is so refreshing. This has just become like an addiction now, and I'm just going to do it regularly. So 15 June, I remember. 15 June was the day of my CFA level 2 exam, by the way. 16 June, I went to Nasik. 16 June से मैंने शुरू किया meditation करना. And 16 June से 19th November, जब तक मेरे exams थे, तब तक मुझे याद है, every day I used to meditate for 15 minutes. Today also that habit has remained with me, that 15 minutes at least you have to take out and meditate, because it will help you in order to improve your concentration and
और
focus.
आपने बोला focus और concentration increase होता है, तो how does it actually increase? In what capacity you find it increasing?
So in multiple ways actually, in the sense that let me give a simple example. Before meditation, right, I gave my CFA level 2 exam, okay? 1st June to 15 June 2019, this was the time period where I was giving my level 2 exam. I was in my hostel in Andheri, in Bombay itself, and I used to study with my hostel friends, etc. That time I didn't used to meditate. जब भी मैं कोई chapter पढ़ता था और पढ़ाई करता था, I used to read it 2 times or 3 times in order to memorize, or maybe I used to take 4 times or 5 times to read it in order to just make it in my memory. After I started meditation, right, lot of negative thoughts or lot of external thoughts which come to your mind, they started going out, and automatically my focus was just to study the chapter of CA finals, and that 4-5 times of reading that I used to use earlier for memorizing a thing, that reduced down to 2 or 3 maximum. So the time which you are spending in memorizing or in grasping the concept, that reduces manifold and significantly. So I still remember that I had studied, so we have subjects like direct tax, indirect tax, auditing, strategic financial management, and all these subjects. Auditing and law, these are 2 subjects which everyone hates. So which every CA student would hate, because there's a lot of memorization which is involved here. So there
law is a company law?
Law is everything. So
Companies
company
Act
law,
and
insolvency law, then all the kind of SARFAESI Act, RERA, and etc. So all the kind of laws here are there. Company law is the major part, by the way. So more than 50% is company law, and then 10% are the different laws which are there. So you have to memorize so many provisions. So after meditation, I realized that it has become quite easier for me. So that is something which meditation really
So that's
helped me.
you would say that anybody who's studying for a competitive exam should combine this practice.
I mean, that's a no-brainer. I mean, that is something which should go to them without even saying. And I mean, I was a person who was like not meditating, but मैं सबको नहीं बोल रहा कि तुम रोज करो, एक बार शुरू करो, एक दिन के लिए चालू करके देखो, 1 या 2 दिन के लिए, and automatically I am sure कि उनको addiction जैसे हो जाएगा. मतलब that's the peace you get, because इसमें ना, this is a very lonely journey, honestly. I switched off my mobile phone. I was sitting in my room for 4.5 months with my doors locked for the entire day.
That's also a big one, you know, the fact that you switched off your mobile phone, because you already won half the battle by removing that part of the distraction.
Right.
And then there's the other half of the battle, which is the mind's distraction, which you're doing with the meditation.
Correct. So that's like a very lonely journey also, but at the same time it's very refreshing, in the sense that you're doing something unconventional, is what I feel. And you're doing something which not others are doing. So that's the best way in order to succeed. And I think apart from that, I am a firm believer that, you know, like when there are lesser number of people you're talking to on a regular basis, your life becomes more peaceful, because you don't have any grudges, you don't have any external fights, you don't have anything else. So in terms of personal life, I feel that is a rule I followed. And in those 4.5 months, I think that was the most peaceful phase of my life. I mean, when I look back, that was the most peaceful and very kind phase of my life, where I was doing just studying for 12 hours a day, but very refreshing also is what I feel.
तो guys आप सुन लेना, ऑल इंडिया रैंक 5 कह रहे हैं कि मेडिटेशन प्रैक्टिस टू कंबाइन विद योर स्टडीज इज अ नो ब्रेनर. सो दैट्स अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग. नाउ लाइफ का एक नया चैप्टर शुरू हो गया. आपने केगर शुरू कर दिया और यू नो always you've been a high achiever. So, or at least with the CA, you've been a high achiever. So that's 3 exams in a row that you've been a very high achiever. Is there a pressure to deliver with KAGR?
I think the answer will be yes and no both. That's a very good question. I'll have to think before I answer. But honestly, yes, there is some sort of pressure. I think it might be an external motivation also. I try to convert that into an external motivation, because this is not the first time it is happening with me. For example, again, like with all due respect, without any ego as such, with all humility, I had got all India rank in my entrance and inter. So final में there was a pressure for me also to get a rank, because everyone used to tell कि यार तेरा 6th है 5th है, अभी तो top 3 में आना है, तेरे को तो first आना है. And my class teacher, you won't believe me, there were 200 students sitting in the classroom. He shouted from his desk over there, and I was sitting at the last bench. He told in front of everyone that Kushal का top 10 all India rank में आने वाला है CA finals में. मैं तुम सबके सामने बोल रहा हूँ, mark my words. I was so astonished at that point of time. In fact, I was feeling यार shit, ये क्या बोल दिया सर ने. मतलब he is telling in front of 200 students, what if I don't get a rank? उनके जो words थे, उनका value कम हो जाएगा, in the sense that he is showing so much confidence. There was always a pressure behind my back, and there was always this negative externality in the sense कि अगर नहीं हुआ suppose, अगर rank अगर suppose fail हो गया, तो society क्या बोलेगी. But the best way to overcome that, or maybe the best way I dealt with that, was very simple, in the sense that I always converted this into an external motivation. I was like कि ठीक है, if people are expecting out of me, at least the closed ones whom I value the lot, whom I value the most, I should fulfill their expectations if I know that they are doing something for me. So my sir had taught me an entire subject. So it's my responsibility that I'll make him proud one or the other day. Of course, I'll give my best. So I have a simple philosophy. Do what you can do, which is in your control. Whatever is not in your control, you can't do anything. So for example, if in your control, it's okay, you can give 12 hours a day for studying. You can do that. But let's say checking the paper, mood of the examiner who is checking the paper, it's not in your control. You can't complain कि उसका mood खराब था तो marks तुमको कम दे दिए. So whatever is in your control, focus on that. Ensure that इस पे आप capitalize कर रहे हो, and then automatically ये outcome जो होगा, whatever is not in your control will automatically become better, is my philosophy. So today also with KAGR, I think I have that external pressure, because I have been academically an achiever itself. But at the same time, I feel that it's a good way of pressure, in terms of it's a good stress to have, which will motivate me to do something in my life.
So tell us a little bit about KAGR business, what you are up to, and like what's the elevator pitch.
Sure. Let's see if I get funding from Mr. Harshil Karia today. But yeah, so we're into finance upskilling. We provide courses for people who want to get a job in finance. We have a practitioners-based learning model. We tie up with practitioners in the industry. For example, Vice President of Bain Capital is one of our educators. Senior Associate at Ernst & Young is one of our educators. A guy working at Stoa School who is BITS Pilani graduate is one of our educators, teaching AI for finance, ChatGPT for finance. So we launch these multiple courses by partnering with the industry professionals and giving it to people who want to upskill in the field of finance and get a job. We then partner with companies at the back end. We then train them on soft skills as well, and finally help them in order to become job ready. So of course we can't guarantee jobs. Placement cannot be guaranteed in India, anywhere in the world, but we help them with placement assistance and ensure that okay, they are being placed at some or the other company. That's the simple model of KAGR.
So when the student who is coming to you, क्या वो students already उन्होंने CA pass कर लिया है या so they are CAs,
right,
who are getting more, you're adding one more layer on top of it.
Correct, exactly.
ये part time है कि full time?
No, this is full time. Sorry, the course you're asking, or
course?
No, of course, course part time. So for example, these are usually working professionals. Let's say like CA में कैसा होता है कि CA बनने के बाद articleship बचती है 2 महीने की, 3 महीने की. So these are basically people who have done their CA. They are just in the last 2-3 years of articleship and they are now looking for a job. Okay. So you like maybe just comparing it with BCom, because a lot of people would be BCom, BBA, BMS.
But BCom, BBA, BMS also come to you?
Yeah. Okay. So basically it's a finance upskilling. The reason I started off with CA was because my right to win in this market is little better as compared to other markets. And we have also expanded.
Definitely right to top 5 में हो तो right to win है ही.
And we've also like expanded into BMS, BBA, BAF, and even like other courses like CPA, ACCA, CFA, जो foreign courses होते हैं finance वाले, we're also upskilling these people and making them job ready. One of the biggest problems in the entire education system, I have done CA, I have done CFA, I have done ACCA, and I was not taught about, let's say, how to build a financial model or a business plan of a company in an Excel sheet.
Right.
I was not taught about how to read an annual report or an investor presentation if I want to just understand a business model. I was not taught about how to use, let's say, chat GPT, वो तो अभी अभी आया है, but how to use artificial intelligence in order to save my time if I'm working somewhere.
Right.
All these are very industry hot topics today, which are not taught in any curriculum. So I want these people to come to me because I know I have been through the same journey. I'm teaching them these topics by experts who are there in the industry. So they become job ready, and employers don't have to spend additional amount of money to upskill them.
Got it.
So that
Got
is
it.
the problem.
Amazing. Yeah, it sounds like a big task you've taken up.
Yeah, it's a big task. Plus, it's a very personal problem to me, by the way. When I joined Aditya Birla Group after I cleared my CA, for the first 3 months, I was bashed by my manager entirely. Like I was in a position where I was deciding to quit my job because I used to hear scoldings every single day from my manager and boss. And I was like कि मैं इतना डम्ब हूँ क्या, मतलब CA में इतना रैंक वैंक आया और मैं जॉब में आ रहा हूँ और मेरे को इतनी गालियाँ
तो
सुननी
कैसा
पड़ रही
लगा
है.
आपको तभी?
I was like कि यार मैं मतलब क्या कर रहा हूँ ये, मतलब CA में इतना हुआ है तो मैं am I like just a bookworm? I was doubting myself,
Self-doubt.
by the way. Yeah, self-doubt. I was doubting myself कि मैं मतलब सिर्फ एक किताबी कीड़ा वैसा हूँ.
अच्छा, I want to ask this thing about
होगा.
self-doubt. Okay, outside, like people like me with little bit of gray hair and, you know, people with more gray hair than me. Sometimes we misunderstand this whole thing of self-doubt. You know, right now there are a lot of reels and all floating around ki ये depression, anxiety, making fun of the newer generation कि तुम लोग बहुत self-doubt, depression, anxiety के क्रच पे चलते हो और जब भी सोच लिया बोल देते हो कि मैं सेल्फ डाउट हूँ. मतलब मेरे पास सेल्फ डाउट है. जॉब में आए 3 महीने में कुछ ठीक नहीं लगा तो फिर सोच रहे हो कि अरे व्हाट एम आई, क्वेश्चनिंग फुल्ली रादर देन listening and, you know, just following the path. So one is that, is listening and following the path something that Gen Z finds difficult to do? That's one. And second, what is your whole take on this anxiety and, you know, self-doubt thing?
Sure. Again, like brilliant questions. I think you already are an amazing podcaster, but I really like the way of the granularity of the questions that you're asking, by the way. So I've never been asked these kind of questions ever in all my previous interviews.
Okay, that's good. Good.
So yeah, so basically about this, right? Let's answer the first one, where how do you think whether Gen Zs are not listening and going forward and they are just doubting themselves? I have one opinion here that Gen Zs these days are doubting themselves because they are not able to achieve something. क्या हो रहा है कि social media पे they are watching success stories of people of their age and then they start doubting themselves कि यार ये अगर इतना बढ़िया कर पाया तो मैं क्यों नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ, which is a very wrong mindset according to me. Rather than
is
that,
the reality?
It's the reality, yeah, of course. Like in fact, honestly, if you ask me, right, मेरे साथ भी हुआ है. When I was 21, मैं देखता था कोई किसी को रील्स पे and I used to feel like यार ये इतने 24-25 साल में इतना मचा दिया है, कैसे कर लिया यार, मैं तो कुछ भी नहीं हूँ इसके सामने. मतलब I used to doubt myself. I used to have that वो imposter syndrome बोलते हैं, right, where I used to feel like सब मेरे सामने जितने भी लोग हैं सब स्मार्ट है, मैं ही सबसे डम्ब हूँ. And soon I realized that this is a very wrong mindset in the sense that you should start gaining inspiration from these success stories and try to see कि उनके साथ क्या चला है, in the sense कि what are the mistakes they have done which you should avoid, what are the things they focused more on that you should focus more on. And if you follow that mindset, I think automatically your path to becoming closer to success will become much quicker as compared to someone who is just complaining, crying and doubting themselves. So Gen Zs, it's all because of social media today is what I feel, that they have started to doubt themselves more because they see success stories of n number of people. And you know, like social media I think is fake, honestly. People post about their success stories, but even the most successful people are going through tough phases in their life. No one will talk about those tough phases in their life on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on YouTube, anywhere. There will be hardly like fingers you can count some people who will talk about their failures or struggle stories. But that's why I think that people should start talking more about their failures, their struggle stories. If they talk more about that, automatically people will stop doubting themselves and they'll feel more relatable in the sense that कि अगर ये fail होके succeed हो गया है, तो मैं भी अभी fail हुआ तो मैं भी successful हो जाऊंगा. That is my mindset according to me. So that's about the Gen Z part. Secondly, about the entire anxiety and depression, I think it has become common thing, I think, in the sense that people have started becoming more anxious about anything, like let's say earning money, being independent, or let's say like everyone, like let's say if you're in 10th, there's an anxiety of getting a good college, being admitted in a good college. After 12, there's an anxiety of getting into a good college for your undergrad. After undergrad, there's an anxiety of getting into a good job. Interview ka anxiety hai. After interview, let's say you get into a job, there's an anxiety of getting an early promotion. let's say you plan for a master's, getting into an MBA from an Ivy League, or let's say there's an anxiety of getting into an MBA. So at every stage of your life, there will be anxiety or some sort of nervousness in you. But I think the way I put it is that instead of just being nervous or anxious all the time, what is the best you can do? What is the best way of achieving that? If that is the mindset, I think
so that's the solution. I'm actually more curious ki why is this anxiety there? Because this is not the first time in life that achievement is required. मतलब पहले पीढ़ियों में भी था कि सेम चीज़ें थी कि मैं 10th के बाद कॉलेज जाऊंगा, कॉलेज के बाद मैं जॉब करूंगा, जॉब के बाद ये करूंगा, वो करूंगा, मैरिज है, फैमिली है, रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज है, ये वो सबके पास होता था. तो अभी एंजाइटी बढ़ क्यों गई है?
राइट, आई थिंक वन ऑफ द रीजंस इज मीटिंग सोसाइटल एक्सपेक्टेशंस. अभी क्या हो रहा है कि व्हाट आई फील इज कि ज़्यादा लोग जो है सोसाइटल एक्सपेक्टेशंस को फुलफिल करने में मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम बिता देते हैं. एंड व्हेन दे हियर दैट their relatives or their relative son, daughter, they are doing very well in their life, they start comparing with themselves. Again, like we can relate this to our previous example of watching a reel of someone who's successful, and then they start doubting themselves. This is happening more now, is what I feel, when even if you talk to your parents, or even if you see the parents conversation in their community, right, most conversations revolve around उनका बच्चा या बच्ची कैसे successful हो रहा है, उन्होंने क्या अच्छा किया है, and वो कैसे आगे जा रहे हैं path में. So that automatically creates some sort of pressure within the other parent's mind, or that automatically creates like some sort of sense कि यार मेरे बेटे या बेटी ने भी कुछ achieve करना चाहिए. And that is the family conversation which usually happens in a dinner table or a lunch table conversation. So I feel इसके वजह से थोड़ा ज़्यादा हो गया. And secondly, क्या हो रहा है पता है, like every young person, like even including me, problem क्या हो रहा है हमारे साथ, everyone wants early success in life. In the sense कि वो देखते हैं कि लोगों को कि बहुत जल्दी successful बन जाएगी तो अपनी life sort हो जाएगी. No one is patient nowadays. Patience is something which is lacking a lot. Let's say I'm a finance guy, okay? So I can relate it to the stock markets example. Today, 90% of the traders are losing money in the stock markets because they are not patient. So in the sense that if I am trading into stock markets, today only 10% of handful traders are making money. People like me are कि मेरे को यार एक महीने में 10% gain चाहिए, 15% gain चाहिए, which is, I mean, people make it, but it's ideally not possible in the sense कि एक महीने में 10% is like 12 महीने का simple interest 120% in 1 year, which is like insane. So people want quick money, they want early success, they don't have the patience to wait anymore, and that is one of the reasons that they are now becoming more anxious at the same time, because ये सब traits उनके पास automatically आ रहे हैं. Once they start becoming more patient and once they realize कि entrepreneurship or anything is a long-term game, automatically the anxiety will reduce, in my opinion.
Interesting. इसमें पेशेंस में एक्चुअली मैं किसी और के साथ भी पॉडकास्ट कर रहा था, तभी उन्होंने समझाया कि द बेस्ट वे टू कल्टिवेट पेशेंस इज मेडिटेशन प्रैक्टिस ऑल्सो हेल्प्स यू कल्टिवेट पेशेंस बिकॉज यू आर एबल टू जस्ट आई डोंट नो देयर इज मेनी थियोरीज ऑन दैट बट यू आर एबल टू increase more time per unit mind, so therefore you can cultivate patience a bit better. So that I feel like inserting that practice into everything is, it's like a दूध में शक्कर मिलाने का practice. It helps other parts of your life also.
Right.
So how is
just before that, sorry to interrupt, but if I can add on here, right? There's a very beautiful quote by Rahul Dravid, which he mentions in almost every speech. I love this, by the way. So he mentioned that if you plant a Chinese bamboo seed, right, it won't grow, a seed won't be like, you won't see a sprout for the next 1 day, 2 days, 5 days, 1 year or 5 years also. But you will see a single sprout which will shoot from that particular seed itself on the 5th year, 1st day, and it can go as tall as 90 feet in the next 6 days itself. So some people will say that this plant was just born in a span of 6 days. But there is actually 5 years and 6 days that has gone in order to make this a 90 feet plant. So basically, people ignore the 5 years which are gone, which is the patience game, which is the long-term game. They just see that, okay, 6 दिन में इतना हुआ है, but there's a 5 years work which has gone before making that plant a 6 feet tall. So you talk about any successful startup, Zerodha was working on its roots from 2010 to 2019, and 19-20 types they got like a very big success. 2010-11 hardly people knew about Zerodha. Like they didn't, like, that was not a company which was talked the way it is talked today. You talk about, let's say, even Physics Wala, the EdTech unicorn. 2016 to 2020, it was working on its roots. 2019-20, again during COVID time, it just shot up significantly. You talk about Dream 11 again. So every startup, which is all of these three which I mentioned are profitable, by the way, and they are in thousands of crores of profits as well. All of these startups, they were working on roots, which is like a long-term entrepreneurship game. And then you see that plant which is 6 feet tall in the last 1 or 2 years. So we can't just tell them, okay, इन्होंने तो 1 साल 2 साल नहीं कर दिया है. That's a very long journey. And that's how I realized, because I have written one book called Unlocking Unicorn Secrets. When I interviewed these 20 unicorn
Yeah.
founders of India,
Yeah.
that's when I realized that it's a long-term game. Entrepreneurship is very lonely. It's a very long-term game. You require a lot of patience if you want to succeed. I'm sure you would relate to it as well.
So when you wrote your book, that time you interviewed 20 unicorn founders. Getting their time, sitting down with them, how did that happen?
That was a very crazy task. I had to reach out to every PR team of all these founders. First, we sent them cold emails to all these founders. We used some random subject lines also. I remember I laugh upon myself when I read those emails that I had sent them. So we had sent subject lines like read now or regret later. We had sent one subject line as let's say we approached XYZ. So XYZ, comma, you need to read this. Then we had mentioned one subject line as this is a big opportunity for you, something like that. Like there were the random subject lines, and then we fortunately got responses, by the way. So this email subject line worked for us. Then these founders used to connect us with their PR teams. I had to convince these PR teams individually. I had spoken to all these 20 PR teams, and I had to convince that why am I the best person to do this, and why is this
So
going
what
to
was your
work
reason?
out?
Why were you the best person?
I
to
was
do this?
telling them that I already have a good social media presence. One of my co-authors, by the way, Ishan Sharma, he's also a YouTube creator. Both of us have a cumulative following of 2 million on social media. We will try to, there is no book in India as of now which covers the success stories of 20 unicorn founders of India. After Shark Tank India, there is a buzzword of entrepreneurship. So everyone wants to get into entrepreneurship now, but there is no book which is a guiding compass for them in terms of how to find a co-founder, how to acquire the first few set of customers, how to build a founding team, how to how to build a proper company culture, and all these things which are there, how to raise capital for your business, when is the right time to raise money. And we've asked all these questions to all the 20 founders. So I told them that we'll distribute from our social media. We have a good publisher, Penguin India, which was also like a difficult one to convince for. Right. And then automatically those people were like, you seem credible. So we'll give you 1.5 hours appointment with them and try to ensure you ask all the questions.
So how did you and Ishan decide to write a book together?
So that was again a funny conversation. I was about to quit my job at Aditya Birla Group. I was working there for 2 years, and I was telling him that I want to start up something of my own, but I am not getting an idea, or I am not getting the right way of doing it. And Ishan was also starting something of his own. And I was telling him that instead of starting directly, let me interview 20 unicorn founders and compile their success story and distribute in a form of book. And it'll help me also in my personal startup journey. So I told him, if you want to join, let me know. You can also join. I'll be happy if you can join, because you have a good social media presence as it is. And you can help in the marketing part, which is the post-publishing and pre-publishing. I'll take care of everything. So that's how we divided our work, and he immediately agreed. Next days, we started sending out emails. We started the process, and honestly, if you ask me, it took us precisely 455 days, right from the first day of sending email to 15th August 2023, which is when we published our book.
So what are the top 3 lessons from your book for you?
First is by Shrikant, who's the founder of Fractal Analytics. If you want to raise money, go for asking advice. If you want advice, go for raising money. So whenever, if you want to raise capital, don't directly go for asking capital. Just go for some advice. Ask them, how do you think this business model is going to work out? What are the challenges? What I should keep in mind, etc. Automatically, if they feel that you're doing something good and value additive, they'll put in a check themselves. That is one. Second is by Amit Jain, who is the founder of Car Dekho. He is also a shark in Shark Tank India. He mentioned that experiences per year is more important than years of experience. For example, in 1 year, कितने साल का experience मिल रहा है, that is more important as compared to कि तुमको total 3 साल का experience या 5 साल का experience है. बहुत सारे लोग हैं जो 1 साल में उनको 5 साल का experience भी मिल जाता है, because they slog, they hustle, they grind, they take ownerships, they take more responsibilities. So focus on experiences per year rather than focusing on the total number of years of experience. That's 2. The third lesson would be by Ruchi Kalra. She's the founder of Oxizo and Off Business, which is a $6 billion entity, again profitable. So she mentioned that if you will hire A's in your company, ultimately they will hire A's. If you hire B's, they'll hire B's. If you hire C's, they'll hire C's. So the point is that whenever you build a founding team, you have to build such a strong founding team that अगर आपने A को hire किया है, वो आपसे better लोग ही hire करेंगे. In the sense, उनसे better लोग ही hire करेंगे. Right. So the first 3-4 people, or the first 3-4 hires of your organization have to be A's or A+, so that you don't end up getting into the B or C or D kind of quality. So this is the third lesson which I have kept it with myself.
Nice. What is your take on Mr. Narayan Murthy's comment about 70-hour work week?
I'd like to hear your take as well. But yeah, I think if you ask me, in fact, if you ask my followers also on LinkedIn, I am a big fan of hustling, by the way. So I have posted a lot on LinkedIn that hustle culture is not toxic according to me, or why do I work 24/7. I posted day before yesterday that I do love working on Sundays. I do love working for more than 70 hours a week. I do love working for myself and for my customers, etc. And that post also got like good traction on LinkedIn, etc.
Did it get hit?
So no, it didn't. So I'll tell you, the way I put it always is that my community, I think it's quite, I don't know, but I love my community in the sense that they really, the love they shower and the support they give me, I think I really like them. So the way I put it was in the sense that what I am trying to say here is that it's not about the Sundays you're working, or it's not about the number of hours you're working. Ultimately, if you're enjoying doing something, no, you will ultimately find a way to just do that endlessly. Matlab, you need to define what is work to you. For example, let's say today, I know that I'm doing this podcast with you, okay? For me, for KAGR specifically, it wouldn't be like exact work immediately in the sense that कि okay, ये इससे मेरे को किसी की finance में नौकरी नहीं लग रही है, ये जो मैं कर रहा हूँ. But let's say I know in the future, let's say 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line, I might reach out to you, or let's say there might be some of the other synergies that can be explored. So although it's not an immediate result which is there,
of that bamboo shoot.
that's a very good thing. Yeah. So although it's not an immediate result which is there, but it might be work, it might be non-work. So what is work for you is something that you need to define. That's one. And secondly, the way I put it is that even if you're working on Sundays or more than 70 hours a week, that's fine if you're liking it. For example, my friends work in private equity, investment banks, management consulting, the best of the best companies like Blackstone, Bain Capital, Kidara Capital, McKinsey, BCG,
Good,
Bain.
as you're a good guy for me to know also.
No, I mean, you are like the smartest one amongst all of these. They would be happy to meet you actually. But yeah, let's say Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley. यहाँ पे जब deal होती है, right? When a live deal is going on, they have to work for 18 hours a day, 20 hours a day for 5 days, for 2 weeks, non-stop. My friends sleep for 3-4 hours a night when the deal period is going on. But I have never seen them complaining. मतलब जब मैं बात करता हूँ ना, तब ऐसे समझ आता है they are enjoying, they are liking it. ऐसे नहीं बोलते यार shit आज मैंने इतना 18 घंटे काम किया. बोलते भाई आज तो मजा आ गया, मैंने 18 घंटे काम किया, CEO के साथ बात किया, and अभी कल मेरा ये meeting etc. So the point of stating this is that there are people who work for 18 hours a day. There are people who work for 6 hours a day. It's just that how much satisfied you are. On one side, there are billionaires who are working for 6 hours a day and they are still billionaires, but there are workers who are working for 16 hours a day, like security guards or construction workers. They are working for 18 hours a day, but they are not able to make that amount of money, and they are not at comparable level. So again, the point is not about the number of hours. The point is just about where exactly you are playing, what game you're like, what is the long-term game for you, and whether you're enjoying your work. So if it's a 100-hour week or a 10-hour week, ultimately you should be happy is my take.
I think what happens with Mr. Narayan Murthy, kind of a person also, and his profile, you have to very importantly understand that he's working in service business. Yeah. So if you're working in service business, you're by default dealing with lots of people. Yeah. If you're by default dealing with lots of people, you have to by default devote that much space of time. Of course, he's not actively involved in service business, and he's a legend. I cannot even, foresee what he would have seen. But that's one reality in service business. So their time is an important factor of contribution. Second thing is, I think somewhere his word has been misquoted, because what he has said is that India at this point in time has come into the global spotlight. So for us, being in the global spotlight, it becomes our responsibility to say that we will outwork the rest of the world to really take that spotlight and stand for what the opportunity is. So he spoke about the example of the Germans and the Japanese. Germans after the World War, of course, they were all working significant number of hours to reach the standard that they are. And same way with the Japanese. So he gave that example, saying that in today's world, that's our opportunity. If we really outwork everybody else, we will be on that pedestal, setting our frame up for many future generations to come. Yeah. So that's one part of the argument. Second is that, I was speaking to one of our guests, Keshav Swami. He's done a series on wisdom from the Bhagavad Gita. So one of his things which he's done on the app is around how to avoid burnout, where he has emphasized the need for sleep. He has emphasized the need for sadhana, and he has emphasized or meditation, and he has emphasized the need for doing the work that you actually love to do. So combination of sleep, I think across the world where you see it, sleep is an important contributor to happiness. So over time, 3 hours of sleep is not sustainable, I would say, because then it kind of like, the thing which I have seen as a litmus test, and I've seen it myself, is that on the days when you're most irritable, just check, have you slept enough? So if you've not slept, your fuse is likely to be off. So I think sleep is important.
Yeah.
But the only thing then you will cut out the unnecessary distractions, your equivalent of switching off the phone and keeping it into the cupboard. If we can do that with the rest of our lives, it's easier said than done. But like when you're living in an active world.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, sleep is something which even I'm a big believer of, in the sense that I sleep for 8 hours every night.
Yeah.
If I sleep for 6 hours, then I don't think I function properly.
Yeah.
So I get some sort of headache, or I don't know if it's my mindset, but I don't function properly if I sleep less. Yeah. In fact, I ask my friends also sometimes, like, if you're sleeping for 3-4 hours a night for 1 week, how are you performing? Like, in the sense that how are you even able to make some presentations and make the models, etc. But I don't know. I mean, it's just some industry practice, or like they have to work when the deal is going on. But I can't do that. Yeah. That's why I quit my job and started something of my own.
Nice. So where is this going now?
So, like, in the sense?
The something of your own, KAGR. By the way, is KAGR like a take on compounded annual growth rate?
Yeah, so basically KAGR is nothing but compounded annual growth rate only, CAGR. But C ke jagah K, because my name starts with K. So it's basically compounded annual growth rate is the full form. It's similar to my podcast where it's KWK, Conversation with Kushal. So I think I'm just obsessed with the letter K. I hope people don't judge me.
No, why would they judge you?
Some people then compare it with Coffee with Karan. So
yeah, I mean, Coffee with Karan is, I hope it goes that big. And so with KAGR, where are you right now and what's next?
Yeah, so it's a 5-month-old company. We are a 6-member team as of now, and have 2,500 students in the last 5 months.
Wow.
What's next, as in, I think I would want to just scale this faster, in the sense that I would want to tie up with more companies, place people in the finance domain. The next thing which I have in my mind is also the B2B model, which is working out quite well, where we are also training and upskilling junior working professionals and mid-level managers on topics like generative AI, chat GPT, financial modeling, personal branding, and all of that, because this is something which is not taught anywhere to them. So how can they save 2 hours every day using artificial intelligence is something that we are tapping on. So that is something which we are doing. And apart from that, I think my main objective would be just to ensure that these people are getting jobs at the end of the day. So you'll be surprised to know, today, like as of now in India, there are 4.5 million people who are doing BCom, which is 45 lakhs. 3 साल का पूरा कोर्स है. So every year 15 लाख, assuming 1/3, 15 लाख लोग ग्रेजुएट होते हैं BCom से. This same number is 5 lakh for MCom, which is the Masters in Commerce. And इसमें से 60% of them are not getting a job. So this 60% is a huge chunk where these people are willing to pay upskill and then get a job. The average package of a BCom today is around 3 lakh to 4 lakh per annum. The average package of a CA is 9 lakhs per annum. So what I am trying to do is, if I am targeting CAs, मैं उनका एवरेज पैकेज 9 से 12 कैसे लेके जा सकता हूँ. इफ आई एम टारगेटिंग CFAs, मैं उनका एवरेज पैकेज 7 लाख से 10 लाख कैसे लेके जा सकता हूँ. इफ आई एम टारगेटिंग BComs, उनका पैकेज 3 लाख से 5 लाख तक कैसे लेके जा सकता हूँ. सो दैट इज समथिंग विच इज नेक्स्ट फॉर मी. सो डिवाइडिंग माई कोर्सेज on the basis of what you have done, upskilling them, and then placing them in the companies. That is something which I'm solving for.
I wish you the best on that. You know, I was just seeing, I think we have done about 40 minutes, but we have done it on 1.5x, I think. And so many different spaces we went into. So that was interesting. I'm sure this is not the last time we're going to speak.
Yeah.
Because I want to be able to continue to understand how your journey grows on KAGR. And obviously follow it and, you know, see what's up, because what I love about what you said is that you want to do value addition per unit money on top of what they're earning, which is always a great space to be, which is like a must win space and will win space for sure if people are able to earn more. And your emphasis on the placement side and your B2B linkage is all very interesting. It was fascinating also to learn about, you know, what like a top 5 India rank, how he prepares. No, I mean, it was great. Like, I've never had that like exposure, you know, to the first thing you said, put the phone away. Then how, you know, you do your repetition, how your story of meditation, that was also fascinating to hear. And what you're up to now with your book. So I feel like at such a, you know, like a young age, you're in a very interesting time in your life right now. And looks like you are ready for the marathon. So excited to see where it goes. And yeah, it was great. It was great to hear this so far. I feel like till here we've got a lot for the audience to think about also. So that was great, and thank you so much for taking out the time for this.
Thank you so much for having me. It was wonderful talking to you. And as I said earlier also, I think if you do this consistently, I can see you becoming like the next Joe Rogan of India, probably. You're one of the great podcasters as well. I've never been asked these type of questions, honestly, at all the previous podcasts.
I hope all my guests feel the same. My guests have to be at that, like.
No, definitely. But yeah, thank you so much. It was wonderful talking to you, and I hope if even I can add 1% or maybe 0.1% value in their life today, that will
100%.
be 100%.
I think you already have with the way you've shown everything and the way you opened your life book. I think that's very interesting. So thank you for sharing so openly.
No, thanks, Harshil. Means a lot, and thanks for inspiring me as well to start something of my own. I've been following you since a lot, so let's see how it goes.